And the name is Lionel Damon. I was born on the 8th of April, 1923. A memorable year for mankind. I was born of parents who lived in the East End of London, in a block of flats, or tenement block it used to be called, which you saw in many parts of the country, like Glasgow and Leeds and other places. In the East End of London, Bethnal Green, which was the East End of all East Ends. But it was quite a place, and outside we used to, there was outside to play. And I remember I used to have roller skates when I got a bit older, and there was a lamppost outside which made an excellent cricket thing for playing cricket against.
And whereabouts did you go to school?
Well, I went to school at a place called Rochelle Street, and when I was 11, the most amazing thing happened. I think at the time I regarded it as amazing. That was the school. I went to school. Everybody met in the main hall, and the headmaster made some announcements, and then he read out names of people who had passed the 11+ exam, and I was one of them, to my absolute amazement. And I remember he said, you boys can go home and tell your mums if you want to, which I then did. But I don't remember whether she was delighted. I don't remember whether I was worried about passing or prepared for the exam or not. I don't remember that at all.
This was your scholarship?
This was called the 11+ scholarship. They don't have them anymore, which is a great pity.
But they do have the 11+.
Do they have the 11+?
Yeah.
They do. And school children were evacuated, so I was evacuated.
And this was what, when the war broke out?
Well, soon after the war broke out. I can't remember which particular date it was. And the first thing was, so all of us kids from the East End of London suddenly were out in the country, looking at things and saying, they're sheep, they're not, they're cows.
You didn't know the difference.
And there were fields with things growing, and it was unbelievable. And then and I was moved to Norfolk, Fakenham in Norfolk. Then eventually I came back. I can't remember when I came back, maybe my school term was up. And in due course I went to a school just on the edge of the City of London called Cowper Street, or the Central Foundation School. It was a brilliant school, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Large playground in the middle of the city, and there was a tuck shop. And
so you generally enjoyed your school?
Oh, I enjoyed the school marvellously, yeah. I even had caning once. It used to be a tradition, if you were really naughty and you had to be caned. The headmaster, you kneeled down and you got 6 on the bottom, and then you got a biscuit. And it was called 6 and a biscuit. I once had 6 and a biscuit, so I was very pleased about that.
Can I have another one, sir?
Anyway, that was the school. I left it after I matriculated because there was no question of university. Universities weren't part of anybody's life in those days. But by this time I was getting interested in the Communist Party, the Young Communist League. And I was a member, and I used to go to demonstrations and meetings at Hyde Park.
But it was a lot more accepted in those days.
And communism was acceptable, yeah. We were supporters of the Russian Revolution, we were supporters of Stalin, supporters of Lenin, and solidly against the capitalist system, which meant everything for the rich and nothing for the poor.
Well, I mean, probably not much more left-wing than your normal Labour Party, really.
Well, no, the Labour Party was always not really left-wing at all. Now, 2 things happened, I think, which had a very considerable effect on me. There were 2 places I used to visit regularly in this slum area called the East End. One was the public library at the end of Bethnal Green, where I did a lot of studying, a lot of reading, read all the great authors of the world, and just sat in the reading room for hours on end and read. And the other place I used to go through was down Bethnal Green, down Brick Lane, into Whitechapel, turn right at Whitechapel, and there was an art gallery. And I used to go there quite a lot. I used to like modern art. Then one day, it was a very, very emotional day, and it still is in my memory. I went there, and there was a sort of buzz in the air. And eventually I went through to the room, and there was this picture, and everybody was looking at it. And it was Picasso's Guernica. Guernica was the town in Spain, in the Spanish Civil War, that German planes had just gone in and flattened it, and just killed everybody. Picasso did this wonderful expression of it in this picture. And it wasn't just a picture that wide, it got wider and wider and wider. It was so wide as though he had to go on. He had got to stop, he had to go on saying his feelings. And Picasso's Guernica will always be in my memory, it will always remind me, you know, that enhanced my communist feelings. The other big thing I do remember, which I call Agincourt, was when Oswald Mosley and his fascists, his black shirts, were going to walk down through Whitechapel. And all the organisations, including the Labour Party, said, stay off the streets, let them walk through empty streets. All the religious organisations, all the churches, the councils said, stay off the streets and leave it empty. And then, 2 days before, the Communist Party said, no. And they quoted the expression which had been used by the people in Madrid in the Civil War, they shall not pass. Stop them. And Whitechapel was full of people, and they couldn't march through it. They went down the side street and into Cable Street, which is the dock street, and the dockers were there, and the dockers had pulled out all their platforms and their docking equipment and stopped the road, and they never got through. And there was quite a lot of bloodshed. One bloke was stupid, near me was stupid enough to open his jacket and show his black shirt, and I think he got beaten up with it. That to me was like Agincourt. But strangely, I've always had, since the time of the Spanish Civil War, I've always had a slight conscience. I used to go to the station, can't remember which station it was now, where people used to come back from Spain, the bodies, the injured. And I've always had a slight conscience that I didn't die in Spain, but never mind. I was too young to go, I was only a kid.
I think it was really a cause, it was a cause for a generation between two wars, really, wasn't it? The Spanish Civil War. It was a crusade for people of
the idea was to stop Hitlerism.
Stop fascism.
Stop fascism. And it never happened. I mean, the Spanish government, arms were forbidden, but nobody supplied them with arms, nobody supplied them with food. People used to, like Potato Jones, used to run his ships through the blockade to try and get food to the Spanish people. So anyway, they lost. Franco took over. Then we came to the war.